A $95 jacket worn 40 times before it falls apart costs $2.38 per wear. A $400 jacket worn 300 times costs $1.33 per wear. The math is not complicated. It takes about 20 seconds with a phone calculator. And yet the modern clothing industry spends billions of dollars a year on marketing, and part of what that marketing budget is doing, quietly, is making sure most men never run those numbers. Because the men who run those numbers buy differently. They ask different questions. They are significantly harder to sell to.
The brands on this list never needed buyers to forget the math. They built products that held up under the calculation. Some of them have been doing it for over a century. Some of them have been doing it in the same building, run by the same family, making the same thing. And the question worth asking, before we get to any of them, is whether they are still what they were. Family ownership is not a guarantee. Heritage is not a quality standard. A name that meant something in 1960 can be attached to a very different product in 2026. So the question is not just who these brands are. It is whether what made them worth trusting is still present in the product you can buy today. If you enjoy these videos, support the channel by subscribing and liking. Thank you. Before the list, 3 things a brand had to do to earn a place on it. Not heritage, not price point, not country of origin by itself. Those are starting points, not evidence. The first thing to look at is who answers when the product fails. A family that has been making one thing for 80 years answers that question differently than a private equity fund with a 5-year exit horizon. Private equity buys brands for their names and their distribution. The incentive is margin improvement, which usually means material substitution, construction shortcuts, and offshore production, followed by a sale. The family that built the brand and still runs it has a different relationship to failure. Their name is on it. Literally. That accountability shows up in the product. The second thing is whether you can verify what you paid for before you leave the store. Not premium cotton, the GSM, grams per square meter. Not genuine leather, the hide weight. Not pure wool, the certification. Transparency is not marketing language. It is a spec sheet. The brands that provide it are inviting verification. The brands that do not are asking you to trust their copywriting. The third thing is whether the garment can be repaired rather than replaced. Repairability is not a green marketing claim. It is a construction bet. A brand that builds in repairability is betting that the garment will last long enough to be worth repairing. A brand that does not build it in is telling you something about how long they expect the product to last. 7 brands cleared all 3. Here they are. Schott NYC was founded in 1913 in New York City by a man named Irving Schott, still family-owned. That detail matters here because the Perfecto motorcycle jacket, introduced in 1928, was the first jacket in American history to use a zipper. It was not designed to look good. It was designed for motorcyclists, abrasion resistance, protection in a fall, a cut that worked with the riding position. Aesthetics were downstream of function, and that sequencing shows in the construction. The Heritage Perfecto, style 118, is still made in the United States. Steerhide leather, full grain, meaning the outer surface of the hide is intact, not sanded or buffed down to hide imperfections. Full grain is the densest, most durable part of the hide. It develops a patina with age rather than cracking. Fashion leather jackets rarely specify full grain because full grain is more expensive and harder to work with. They also rarely specify hide weight, the thickness of the leather measured in ounces per square foot. Heavier hide costs more, lasts longer, and takes longer to break in. Schott specifies it. That transparency is not incidental. The 118 will be stiff when you buy it. That is the point. A hide heavy enough to protect you in a fall is not going to feel like a shirt on day one. It breaks in over years of wear, conforming to the body that wears it. The 618, The sheepskin version is softer from the start. Different use case. Same manufacturing standard. What to avoid. Anything in the fashion subline where hide weight is not disclosed. The shot name is on those products too. The construction standard is not. When the shot name is on the right product, it means something precise. Hide weight disclosed, full grain specified, American made. That is not a general endorsement of good construction. It is a technical claim with a number attached. Family ownership removes the pressure to cheapen. The next brand on this list has been making the same thing in the same city for longer, and their construction standard is one you can test in 30 seconds. Hickey Freeman was founded in 1899 in Rochester, New York, by Jeremiah Hickey and Jacob Freeman, still manufacturing in Rochester. The signature of the brand is floating canvas suit construction, and this is where the 30-second test comes in. Most suits sold today use fused construction. The interlining, the layer that gives the jacket its shape, is bonded to the outer fabric with heat-activated adhesive. Cheaper to produce, faster, more consistent. It also does something specific when you hold a steam iron to the lapel. The adhesive softens, and if the bond is not perfect, the interlining separates from the fabric and bubbles. You can see it. You can feel it. You can do this test in a changing room before you buy. A floating canvas suit has no adhesive interlining. The canvas, a layer of woven material, traditionally horsehair and wool, is stitched to the jacket in a way that allows it to move independently. When you hold steam to a floating canvas lapel, nothing happens. There is nothing to melt. More importantly, the canvas drapes to the shape of the wearer's body over time. The chest, the shoulder, the roll of the lapel. They conform to the specific person wearing the jacket. A fused jacket is a fixed shape. You wear it. A floating canvas jacket learns you. Hickey Freeman's mainline suits carry this construction. The sportswear and casual line do not, and the construction standard does not transfer simply because the name does. Buy the suits. Test with steam before you do. Hickey Freeman's quality is verifiable with steam. The next brand's quality is verifiable by law. Harris tweed is the only fabric in the world protected by its own Act of Parliament. The Harris Tweed Act of 1993 defines what the fabric is, how it must be made, and who can make it. The weaving tradition in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland is centuries older than the legislation, but the Act codified it, created the Harris Tweed Authority to enforce it, and established the orb mark as the certification stamp. To be sold as Harris Tweed, the fabric must be hand-woven by islanders in their own homes on the islands of the Outer Hebrides. It must be made from pure virgin wool that has been dyed and finished in the Outer Hebrides. Every bolt is inspected and stamped by the Harris Tweed Authority. The orb mark on the inside of the garment is not decorative. It is a certification that a specific set of legal requirements were met. What this means for the buyer is this. A brand cannot use Harris Tweed fabric and substitute cheaper materials in the weave. If they do, it is not Harris Tweed. The regulation is the quality guarantee. You are not trusting the brand's marketing. You are trusting a statutory inspection process. The orb stamp is the proof of that process. Any jacket, blazer, or coat bearing the orb stamp on the inner fabric passes the material transparency test by definition. The question of whether the garment construction is worthy of the fabric is a separate one. Look at the finishing, the lining, the buttonholes. But the fabric itself is guaranteed by something with more teeth than a brand's promise. Harris Tweed's quality is written into statute. The next brand's quality has been enforced by the same family in the same town since 1894. Barber was founded in South Shields, England, in 1894 by John Barber. Still family-owned. Currently run by the Barber family, with Helen Barber and her mother, Dame Margaret Barber, at the helm. The Beaufort and Bedale waxed cotton jackets are still made in South Shields. That geographic and family continuity matters here because it explains the maintenance infrastructure that makes these jackets a different category of purchase. Waxed cotton is not a fashion material. It is a technical one. The wax, a petroleum-based compound, is not applied as a coating on top of the fabric. It migrates through the weave under heat and body movement. That migration is why it works in rain and breathes in cold. The waterproofing is inside the fabric, not sitting on top of it. It is also why the jacket needs re-waxing. The wax depletes with wear, washing, and UV exposure. When it depletes enough, the jacket starts to let water through. You re-wax it. The wax migrates back through the weave. The jacket works again. Barber sells the re-waxing compound directly. They run a re-waxing service at their shops. They built the maintenance cycle into the product architecture, which means they are not making money every time the jacket fails. They are making money every time the jacket is maintained. A jacket you can re-wax for 30 years is not the same object as a jacket you replace every 3. The lifetime cost calculation runs entirely differently. The Beaufort, the Bedale, the International, made in England, full construction standard. The fashion collaboration lines, the Palace Collab, the engineered garments editions, carry the Barber name and a different construction standard. They are not the same product. Barber built the repair into the product. The next brand built the quality standard into the shirt before it leaves the factory floor. Gitman Vintage was founded in 1978 in Ashland, Pennsylvania. American-made shirts, still. The brand's case rests on a specific construction detail that is invisible until you look for it, and obvious once you do. The collar stand. A proper dress shirt has construction in the collar stand. The upright band that the collar folds over, that holds its shape without collar stays. The failure mode of a cheap shirt at the same price point is collar roll. After 10 or 15 washes, the stand softens and the collar rolls away from the neck rather than lying flat. It happens because the fusing, the stiffening agent bonded to the collar fabric, runs only to the collar points. The stand itself is inadequately supported. Gitman's fusing runs the full collar stand. The collar holds its shape through repeated laundering because the construction reaches the places that matter. You can test this by putting a Gitman Oxford cloth button-down next to a mainstream equivalent at the same price point and washing both 10 times. The Gitman collar holds flat. The other one rolls. No expertise required. Just patience. The Oxford cloth button-down and the poplin shirts are where the construction case is strongest. The limited edition fashion prints. The price there reflects the pattern, not the construction. American shirt manufacturing at this standard is demonstrably viable. Gitman is the proof, still running, still stitching in Pennsylvania. Gitman proves American shirt manufacturing is still viable. The next brand has been proving something similar about American sporting wear since 1856. Orvis was founded in 1856 in Manchester, Vermont. Family-owned, the Lee Perkins family, the oldest mail-order retailer in the United States. The origin matters because it explains something about the construction logic. Fly fishing origin means function-first design, and that sequencing leaves a mark. A chamois shirt designed for men standing in cold water for 6 hours has different construction requirements from a chamois shirt designed to look good in a catalog. The weight of the fabric, the cut through the shoulders for casting motion, the durability of the seams, these are engineering decisions, not aesthetic ones. The waxed cotton Battenkill jacket was designed for rough cover and cold weather, not for the kind of outdoor aesthetic that is really just fashion with better photography. Function drove the construction, which means the construction is not decorative. The lifetime guarantee on fly rods is not a marketing line. It is a statement about the expected lifespan of the product and the company's willingness to stand behind that expectation financially. The satisfaction guarantee on clothing is a softer version of the same bet. Family ownership aligns the incentives. The Perkins family built the brand across decades, and they have considerably more to lose from a failing product than a management team with a 3-year contract. The chamois shirts, the bat and kill wax jacket, the functional sporting wear. These are where the construction heritage is still present. The lifestyle merchandise range, the branded accessories, the gift items. The Orvis name travels further than the construction standard does. 170 years of functional heritage is the longest track record on this list. The last brand is younger. It was founded in 1990, but it built its name on exactly the thing the American clothing market was quietly walking away from. Bill's Khakis was founded in Reading, Pennsylvania in 1990 by Bill Thomas. American-milled cotton twill khakis. The fabric comes from Cone Mills in North Carolina, one of the last major domestic cotton mills still operating. The construction is specific. A full rise, a real waistband with structure that holds its shape through repeated wearing. A cut designed for men who wear pants to work in. Not to photograph in. Not to wear once a season for a weekend. To put on Monday through Friday and have them hold their shape by Friday. If you wore Dockers in 1992, you know what they were. You probably also know what happened to the weight, the rise, and the construction over the decades since. That product, the American cotton twill trouser built to a standard, cut for a man with an actual body, did not disappear. It moved. Bill's Khakis is the answer to what Dockers used to be. Same American cotton twill. Same construction intent. A small company in Reading, Pennsylvania, not a global apparel conglomerate optimizing for margin. The M1 is the original full fit. The M2 is the trim version. Either one passes the cost per wear calculation easily if you wear them regularly. What to avoid? Anything with a stretch blend. The entire case for this brand rests on the cotton twill construction, the weight, the structure, the way the fabric holds a crease. A stretch blend changes every one of those things. The product that made the name is the product without the blend. Old school dressers are not smarter because they buy older brands. They are smarter because they ask better questions. Who owns this? What is the hide weight? Can I re-wax it? What happens to the collar after 40 washes? Is this the construction that built the name, or the fashion line attached to it? Those questions are not complicated. They do not require expertise. They require about 20 seconds and a willingness to look at a label. They are not the questions the modern clothing industry wants buyers asking, because they route buyers directly to the brands that can answer them. And most brands cannot answer them. Not clearly, not specifically, not in a way that invites verification. The list is 7 brands. The criteria are transferable. Any brand that can tell you who owns it, what the material specification is, and whether the garment can be repaired, passes the same test. Any brand that cannot answer those questions has told you something. The clothing market is full of things that look like answers. The 7 brands on this list are the ones where the answer is the same as the product.